All right. Well, good morning. Psalm 34 this morning. This is a very interesting psalm. It's a really good one. I'm going to set up the context here by reading from 1 Samuel chapter 21, starting in verse 10. The psalm just starts off with a superscription that says, "A psalm of David when he pretended madness before Abimelech, who drove him away, and he departed." So this is written following this episode. So, verse 10 in 1 Samuel 21. Then David arose and fled that day from before Saul and went to Achish, the king of Gath. You might be a little bit confused here, as I was. It says Abimelech in Psalm 34, and now it says Achish here in 1 Samuel 21. But Achish would be the name of the king, his personal name, and Abimelech would be his title. So there's no contradiction there. And the servants of Achish said to him, "Is this not David, the king of the land? Did they not sing to him of him to one another in dances, saying, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s?" Now David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. So he changed his behavior before them, pretending madness in their hands, scratched on the doors of the gate, and let his saliva fall down on his beard. Then Achish said to his servants, "Look, you see the man is insane. Why have you brought him to me? Have I need of madmen that you have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house?" Verse 1 of 22. David therefore departed from there and escaped to the cave of Adullam. So when his brothers and all his father's house heard it, they went down there to him. And everyone who was in distress, everyone who was in debt, and everyone who was discontented gathered to him. So he became captain over them, and there were about 400 men with him. And this is a very pivotal time in David's life, his career, and it's these 400 men that are gathered here in distress that they these are David's mighty men. They become his heroes, um, and the Lord uses these distressed men to do mighty things for the nation of Israel. And so that's the context here. Very pivotal time in David's life. And so after he acts crazy, and I got to ask you, as I asked myself in reading this, have you ever done anything crazy? Have you ever acted the fool? And certainly we have. Certainly we have acted crazy. We've done things that are insane. And God is just so gracious because he shows here how he just enters into the mess, with David right there in the moment when he's acting crazy and the spit's coming out of his foaming up and coming out of his mouth and onto his beard, and he's just really selling this thing to King Achish. Uh, God's right there and enters into that. He's not like, "Oh man, when you get your act together, I'll enter into this." But David begins in verse 1 with just praise. This first half of the psalm is worship and praise. "I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make its boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear of it and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he heard me and delivered me from all my fears. They looked to him and were radiant, and their faces were not ashamed. This poor man cried out, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps all around those who fear him and delivers them. O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who trusts in him. O fear the Lord, you his saints. There is no want to those who fear him. The young lions lack and suffer hunger, but those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. Just a few things here. Uh, One, verse 7 is that there's only two times in Psalms where the angel of the Lord, the pre incarnate Messiah, Jesus Christ, is mentioned. And this is one of them. And in this time, the angel of the Lord is encamping around all those who fear him. So it's like Jesus Christ is encamping around those who what? Who fear him. And what does he do? He delivers them. And so what a beautiful picture that is with David there in the cave of Adullam, distressed, and here's Jesus encamping with them in that cave, in that place, that anointed place, um, that could have been looked on as just what a pity, these guys camping out in a cave. They're kind of at the end of the rope, and here the Lord is with them. Another thing is, at the very end of this, in verse 10, this section here, it says the young lions lack and suffer hunger, but those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. I just imagine, perhaps he's hearing a lion out and kind of crying out in hunger in the wilderness there, but perhaps they had just been hunting and they have some fresh venison hanging up, and some of the tributes that were brought to him at this time from these men, stacked up in the corner of the cave there, and you can just picture this refreshment and this refreshing event that happened as these guys gathered around David to bring encouragement and to bring sustenance. And David just, maybe getting the last bit of meat off of a bone or something and just saying, you know what? Those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. Even though that lion out there is hungry and he's still hunting and looking for food, those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. And um, just be reminded in this that God, he enters into the mess. Cry out to him. Jesus is willing to enter into it with you right there. And then he takes a moment here, and I'll just close with the second part as we read through it. This is really a sermon, a message to these 400 men. It's sort of like the locker room pep talk right before they go out and hit the football field, right? And this is what David's sermon is to these guys. He calls them children. He's like, listen to me in verse 11. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. And here's his team rules. This is how they're going to move forward, and they're going to operate in this way from now on. It's sort of the principles that this team of men are going to live by, fight by, and shoot for. So verse 12, who is the man who desires life and loves many days that he may see good? All the guys going, yeah, that's me. I want to grow to the ripe old age and enjoy a nice long life. Well, he says, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. I just regret lying to King Achish and acting like a crazy man. Hey, let's be careful what we say with our mouth. Let's not be liars. Let's be truth tellers. Verse 14, depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ear are open to their cry. The face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. So, hey, watch what you say, watch where you go, watch what you do. You guys, we gotta walk in righteousness and holiness. Let's and maybe everyone's like, oh yeah, right? You can picture that in the cave there. Verse 17, the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their trouble. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart and saves such as have a contrite spirit. Hey guys, we're going to be praying for deliverance. We're going to be trusting in God. And then we're going to have humble hearts, a contrite spirit. We're not going to let pride be our downfall. All right? Let's trust the Lord and walk in humility. And then he closes with verse 19 through 22. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. He guards all his bones, not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked, and those who hate the righteous shall be condemned. The Lord redeems the soul of his servant, and none of those who trust in him shall be condemned. So in conclusion, he says, hey, look, evil shall slay the wicked. I'm not going to take things into my own hands anymore. I'm done with that. We're done with that. We are going to trust the Lord. If he wants Saul or any of our enemies to perish, he's going to have to do it. And they make that decision there in the cave of Adullam to trust the Lord and for him to give them deliverance and to fight their battles. And David sticks by it, as we see and through the rest of his story and the drama that unfolds with Saul, especially how he refuses to take Saul's life. And it's here in this psalm that David makes that decision with his boys in the cave. So God bless you today. The Lord enters into the mess when you're acting crazy, and he will bring deliverance out of anything you find yourself into. He is present, and he will deliver you out of all your troubles. Just